Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Spotlight, where we shine a light on entrepreneurs, SMEs, and innovators. My guest will be joining us in a couple of minutes. As with anything that's live, it's completely my fault. So apologies to the audience for Camilla's late arrival. I had accidentally given her the incorrect time. Anyway, just wanted to say a shout out to all our guests. We are now coming to the finale of In the Spotlight series for 2023. So if you have an ambition or you want to promote your services and you need a voice or a platform where you can share your voice and share the amazing work that you're doing, please do reach out and we can arrange a session for you in 2024. I just want to express my thanks to all of our guests that we've had on in the spotlight this year. And it has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you both on a personal level, on a professional level, and really spread the great work that you're doing far and wide. So if you bear with me, then Camilla will be joining us shortly. So I'm just going to put a little bit of music on while we get connected to her. Hi, you okay? The link is in the invite in the Google invite. Oh, hang on. Let me send it to you here. Hang on. No. It's okay. It's okay. Let me just do this. Let's just go on. So Camilla is on her way. Apologies for the late start, everyone. I hope you can bear with us. As with any live, we do have some hiccups sometimes. So I hope everyone is getting ready for Christmas, getting into the Christmas spirit, and we will be starting shortly. Hello, my lovely.
Hello. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Oh,
Take a breath.
I am. I'm just trying to sort out this light. Gosh, right. Here we are. Hello.
Oh wow, you look absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. This is the spot. Welcome to the spotlight, and I must apologize to you because I gave you the wrong time, so you probably thought that you were joining a little bit later. Everyone and to the audience, I am absolutely honored and ecstatic to introduce Camilla Collins to In the Spotlight series. And Camilla and I, we met actually earlier on in the year on a ski trip. And Camilla, I just want to say to you, from the bottom of my heart, just thank you so much for your wisdom, for your just how you supported me during that time. You are such an inspiration, and this take as my gift to you.
You make me cry. God. Oh, yeah. Well, talk about black round conversations, eh? Which is what it was all about. And
Yeah,
downstairs.
definitely.
Well,
But
yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
we're here to shine a spotlight on you now, and to just learn a bit about your journey, and just spread the great work that you're doing as an entrepreneur far and wide. So are you ready to kick off with some questions?
I am. But firstly, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm just, honored to have you waltz into my life in February when we were skiing. And yeah, so just from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And thank you for having me here today. And thank you everyone who's tuning in and watching this live. And apologies for me being late. I'm normally a real stickler for that. So that doesn't normally happen.
It's all on me. It is absolutely all on me. Okay, so let's kick off then. Can you just briefly introduce yourself, Camilla, and your business ventures?
Oh, of course I can. So my name is Camilla Collins. I am a confidence and lifestyle coach. I'm also an author of a book called #No Filter Needed, which I actually do have this prepared in front of me here. And I'm also the founder of multiple beauty and creative entertainment agencies. So I have CJC Hair and Makeup, which was formerly Camilla J. Collins, which is me, which specializes a lot in, well, mainly in weddings, but we do a lot of corporate work as well, sort of headshots, internal filming, things like that. And then Glitter and Glow is the other fun agency, which we mainly sort of started out with bar and bat mitzvahs, but we do a lot of corporate events, and that's kind of a feature of entertainment with makeup. So festival glitter, UV like day glow paint, a bit of nostalgia, really, good fun for parties. So I've taken a bit of a backseat with that, kind of more like a silent partner really on that now, and handed that over to someone else, which was off the back of the lockdowns and the pandemic. Still involved with CJC hair and makeup, take on sort of the odd bit of work, but had to make that step back to work, on the business instead of in it. And I think it's very easy to get sort of wrapped up in all of that, and wrapped up in the busyness, and then can't move things forward. However, the coaching side of things is what I'm super, super passionate about. And the sort of tagline of the book is kicking unattainable standards to the curb and reimagining the power within yourself.
I love that.
This whole book is kind of, I guess it was my sort of journey moving away from makeup artistry and into coaching. And what really got me started on it, well, I actually learned very early on in my makeup artistry career that the conversations that took place in the makeup chair were just as important, if not more, I think more so important, in order for women and men as well to feel not only comfortable but confident in their own skin. And it was actually when I began to realize that every single woman that sat in my makeup chair before we were about to begin the makeover and looked at herself in the mirror and looked at her reflection, immediately apologized for the way that she looked. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't slept, I'm tired. There was all of this sort of going on. And, seeing this over time and time again, I was like, this isn't okay, because every time someone does that, they apologize for who they are, essentially. And so that's what really called me to dig deep beneath the skin to find out really what was going on with our lack of, confidence in ourselves. And I wanted to sort of move away from the beauty industry because I also felt like I was actually becoming part of the problem. And with the rise of digital marketing, full stop. The marketers are constantly playing on our insecurities left, right, and center, because that's what marketing is. It makes us, evokes a sense of lack. So it coerces us into purchasing things. And, yes, there are some great treatments, coming out, and some products out there that can support people with confidence. There's so much of it, and a lot of it is unnecessary. And I just felt that my time on this planet, and I feel that my time on this planet is better spent in helping people, feel confident from the inside out, and stop, looking to external things in order to make themselves feel better about themselves, because it's not necessary. And I believe we've got I know each of us have everything inside of us that we will ever need in order to live our happiest and most fulfilled life. That's my little journey.
Thank you. I was gonna say, ask you what inspired you to become an entrepreneur.
I don't feel like I had a choice. my busy mind.
What do you mean?
Yeah. I think I'm just not very good at conforming. I've always, I think from early on, I've really worked for myself pretty much the whole time, bar about 9 months where I did try and work for someone else, but I just felt so uncomfortable, and I'd always be seeing better ways of doing things. Like, I think it's the way your mind works as well. And some people's minds aren't suited for an office environment. And yeah, as I said, kind of busy minds with lots of ideas and wanting to put that into action, and just having a greater kind of impact. And, the freedom, I think there's it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint-hearted, for sure. And yeah, you say freedom, but essentially your mind never kind of rests, because, you're always thinking about how you can make things better, how you can make a bigger impact, what's going to serve people more, and better ways of doing things. So you kind of always switched on in that sense. But it's exciting. It's certainly a lifestyle. And, I absolutely love it in terms of, I can have multiple things on the go. They feed into one another, as I've just kind of said, and then it's a real kind of journey and a progression, but not, standard kind of career path. I guess if you're in employment, you get to just go into other industries and avenues and kind of develop, that way. So yeah, that's kind of why I love it and why I'm in this roller coaster.
And you get to meet some great people as well, I'd imagine, on your journey, that are equally like-minded, and then you come up with other ideas and think, oh my gosh, how am I going to weave this into what I'm already doing?
Absolutely. Yeah, it really massively promotes like a growth mindset, because you don't get stuck in the same circles, really. You're, always pushing yourself out there to meet kind of new people and to think a different way. I think that's just the nature of it. So yeah, being around different people in different industries is just helps you to kind of think of things in a different way. And that's what I love. You can take an idea that's working in one industry, or for one sort of job role, as it were, and then think, oh, how can I apply that, bricks and mortar business, for example, into a coaching business, and think about things and just get ideas and inspiration. I think it's a very inspiring way to be.
What strategies have you implemented to stand out in your industry, in what you're doing?
I guess personal brand is a real sort of big one now, for all of us. And with the world is getting busier and busier, year on year. But, with the online world, it's very noisy. It can be very distracting. And there's more and more people, I think, are doing their own thing. Even if they are employed, they've got their little side hustles going on. So there's, lots of businesses out there. And I think, doing the same, with all the same services or similar kind of services, like, in order to stand out, you've got to have something different. And I think the easiest and most fun way you can do that is being more of you and showing more of you, and connecting with people on that personal level, because it builds that know, like, and trust factor, which is so important. But at the end of the day, I can go to plenty of coffee shops, for example, in the area, but the chances are it'll be the vibe that's there, the atmosphere that's there, the smile at the barista. Those are things that bind me to that. Some people are really into their coffee and they're like, no, this, like my sister, she just is a real coffee snob. It's like, no, this coffee's horrible. I'm like, coffee's coffee to me, but I do enjoy drinking it. So what's going to make me go somewhere is very much how I feel where I'm there. And I think that's really, important, and how you make people feel, and connecting kind of on that level. Because at the end of the day, we don't really do business with businesses. We do business with people that we like.
Yeah, that's true. Can you just share some experiences now? Can you share a success story that's resulted as an entrepreneur with a risk that you've taken?
A success story that's resulted as a risk. I can tell you, yeah, kind of that story, and a sort of a funny one, really. And that's actually how Glitter and Glow even came about. So I think that's probably in keeping with the theme of like accidental things, and you just never know where this journey is going to go. But no, I am. So with the bar mitzvahs, how it started, this is back in 2015, 16, I think. So we were at this, I was at this bar mitzvah just doing glitter tattoos for the kids. So an event company had asked me, because they knew I was a makeup artist, obviously insured, could I do some glitter tattoos for the kids? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then they messaged me before to say, the clients asked if you can do UV tattoos, and I was like, yeah, sure. So, and I'm always the person that's like, just say yes, figure it out later. So I got on Google and I was like, UV tattoos. I didn't even know what that was. And I found these UV paints. And what I didn't realize is what they had meant was just UV glitter. So glitter you can get that glows. Well, it's not glitter, it's more like a powder. Anyway, just so happened on this event, on this bar mitzvah, there was a complete disaster with the catering. The food wasn't coming out. I think they'd been waiting sort of an hour, and it was all a bit of a nightmare. And so the event planner said to me, they were like, can you just do something? And the glitter tattoo station was set upstairs, whereas they were having dinner down. And I said, well, I've got the UV paints on me, so I could just roam around. I had my like matte brush belt, and brush. I said, I can just roam around the tables if you want with that. And she was like, yeah, fine, just anything, please, just entertain people. And I was like, okay, sure thing. So that's what I did. And everybody absolutely loved it. They'd never seen like this roaming sort of art going around before. People didn't have to go anywhere. And then, they just absolutely loved it. And so from then on, we just got booked again and again. It was the next best thing. And that's how Glitter and Glow actually launched and kind of boomed. And we're the original roaming artists with all of that. So yeah, taking a chance and just figuring out how to do it later. And then just, I guess it's that, preparation or lack of really meeting opportunity and just, going for it, and just resulted in a whole brand new business.
Oh, that's great. I mean, what did you paint them? I'm curious now. Did you paint their faces, or was it on their hands, or what did it?
Anything they wanted, anything to keep them happy. Well, probably not those areas, but yeah, no faces. So when we do our youth, so we do normally like little eye designs or something around there. But at these parties, particularly later on now, when people are got quite a few drinks inside of them, the requests get more random. But we could write anything. So you can do freestyle, like nice swirly patterns, or the kids tend to want stuff up their arms. You can do like tribal designs and things. So whatever you like. We're artists, so yeah, your wish is my command.
That's absolutely amazing. So just moving on to some SME questions out. What advice would you give to SMEs that are looking to expand or even innovate? They get an idea and they want to do something. What advice would you give to them?
So you just said there, like, get an idea and go, stop. Have a little think about it. I think we can get, carried away with ourselves and not think kind of everything through. Having said that, at the same time, you can end up in analysis paralysis, where you're overthinking everything and then you don't actually do the thing. So it's worth sounding out. But I think, the mistake I've made in the past is not doing the research, not actually going out to clients, past clients, or even just doing, setting up like a survey monkey or jot form or something like that, and just sending that out to people to, with questions, so you can get a real idea of whether, this thing is needed, if it's a new kind of idea, or, you're building upon an existing product. Because the best thing is your clients will tell you what they want. If you haven't got clients, then you want to kind of pick an audience and sort of reach out to them and find out. But yeah, I think also the other piece of advice is, taking that step back. I think whenever you're in anything, and this, even in your personal life, it's really hard to have a good perspective on stuff. And so, if you're at early stages and you're very much doing everything in the business, then you're kind of, you're very busy and you're probably thinking more short term rather than long term. So it's really important to take that step back and carve that time and space out for you. And I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs don't do that enough, because there's so much to do nowadays. If I think when I started out in 2009, we had like one social media platform, that was Facebook. Instagram wasn't there. SEO was a hell of a lot easier. You could do all the things, and now they're full-time jobs, and people are trying to do multiple full-time jobs, and that it doesn't allow you the space and time to tap into that creativity as well, because you're quite stressed out, sort of running around doing lots of things. So before you do anything, take that space and time out, and give yourself, it's not just a couple of hours, it could be like a good few days, or a few days in blocks over a week or month, before you kind of make any decisions, and just think properly about things.
So I just want to, I'm absolutely fascinated about your coaching business, because I've seen where you've got the retreat that you've got coming up. So just tell us about your coaching, and tell us what you do for your clients.
Sure. So again, that's been kind of a little bit of a journey as well for me. So the retreat in particular, which is a new thing, I had no intention of running a retreat. I actually had never been on a retreat up until the beginning of this year in February, when I went on my first one. And it was a business retreat actually, and I think probably the only person in the history of going on a business retreat to get banned from working on her business. And instead of a 90-day business plan, I had to come up with a 90-day personal plan for myself upon leaving. And it was difficult, because I was very burnt out at the beginning of the year. So you hear me talking a lot about stress and burnout, and that's very much been my journey. And so I really want to help and support others with that. But writing that personal plan, I found difficult to try and find actions that didn't evolve around business, because the lines have got so blurred between my work and personal life, and that's what caused the burnout, because I was never switching off from work. And so, my social activity wouldn't be with like family and friends. It would be like a network meeting with an ulterior motive, and things like that. So it took real effort. And that was a bit of a wake up call for me. And so that is what has inspired me to launch the retreat that I'm running at the beginning of next year. And I'm actually hosting it at a place called Jamie's Farm, which is a charity that I've been volunteering at this year. So I moved, sorry, a bit of context. I've lived in London all my life up until February, and I moved here into a lovely place called Box, which is about 15 minutes from Bath. And, it's been very healing for me. I've got two crazy cocker spaniels. I think crazy just runs in this family with the three of us. And, our lifestyle is much more suited to being out in open spaces and just having that space as well. And I do here, there and everywhere on the road as well. So it's nice to have that little haven here. But the thing is about Jamie's Farm is they've got locations all over the place. The HQ is this one that I help at, and the original farm. And they essentially do retreats there anyway, but for the children. So they bring, kids out from, inner cities, maybe slightly disadvantaged, not doing particularly well at school. And they bring them on this like 4-day transformative experience where they focus on farming, family, therapy, and legacy. And they also do bring in foster families as well. And it's really just to, a lot of these kids don't know where their food comes from, don't see much greenery around them. And it just really empowers them to, build confidence in themselves doing these tasks and learning, educating them on, where things come from, and just being outdoors as well, I think is really, really great for all of us. So that's why I've chosen to host the retreat there. And that's, I'm really passionate about helping people, or I guess creating a space to re-energize people, because I think it's so hard to find space these days, because we have these things on us all the time, so even when we take our chill out time, I mean, I don't take my phone to bed, but there are plenty of people that do, and then they start scrolling, and it's just, you don't get a moment to yourself, and you've got all these kind of signals being thrown at you. So my my real kind of passion at the moment is, you know, creating spaces for people or holding space, whether that's physically on a retreat, you know, or in one of our sessions, our workshops, even on my Zoom calls as well, just to do, you know, just to help redefine that balance, and, you know, get again to that kind of long-term thinking. So we're not all stuck in the short term fighting fires and not actually progressing with our lives and not actually growing and just kind of essentially going around in circles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I do.
That's, you know, that's absolutely amazing that for children, especially in the cities where with the COVID, the lockdown, the impact of all that on mental health. There was a lady that I'd met earlier today from Chum's charity, and just, you know, what you're doing with the retreat, that's just going to help so many people, and that brings me on to your future. What's your plans for the next? I mean, do you plan 5 years ahead?
Yeah. See, and you know, I sometimes I do struggle. Some people like to go out for the big like 10-year goal, don't they? Like reverse engineer it back. I find that too far ahead and unrealistic. So sort of building up year by year. But I like to put a bit of freedom in there. So obviously I had the big move this year, and that's kind of changed a lot of things. I mean, I am quite impulsive. So I think it was only Christmas Eve, I just mentioned to my sister, I was like, I think I'm going to move out of London. And then my house was literally on the market up for rent as soon as Christmas was done. And I was out in February. So that's been kind of a big shift and change. And, you know, I've changed a lot since being out here. But yeah, in terms of kind of work coaching, I was actually potentially going to let go of the agency. I've, you know, been going around in circles with that, but I am deciding to keep it. I lost a bit of fun with that, and I think that happens over time. You know, we get sort of bogged down in business. It gets a bit samey. We're holding on to the way things used to work and getting frustrated. That's another piece of advice as well I'd give to anyone is be agile. You know, develop that skill and don't overly identify with what you do, because it's really hard to then move with it or evolve or change things because you're so, you know, stuck to it. But I am going to keep the agency kind of ticking on. We're really focused on weddings now, and just, you know, solely that, as well as the corporates. We were doing other stuff before. And then with coaching, speaking is my main thing. So that's my jam, and just what I got into this year, really, or the end of last year. And so that's definitely something I want to pursue. I do enjoy hosting larger groups. I think there's, you know, I know there's much power in the collective and working together. And again, that sort of relates back to the retreat and why I want to host that as well. So yeah, speaking, coaching. I've got a new coaching program launching in the new year, which I'm just working on at the moment. Revamping an old one, Energize, and we're going to be introducing Synergize. So Energize is for you, Synergize is for you and your business. Yeah.
I want to learn. I didn't actually realize that you had written the book. Can you just talk? I know I'm going a bit on script here, but can you just talk about? I want to know all about the book. And when you do your speaking now, do you speak about parts of the book as well, and what the contents of that, or is it completely new?
No, I think, I mean, I mention it at the beginning, as I have done now, and I introduce myself. I mean, it's a really accessible book for everybody. And it's, I guess since writing it, I sort of built my methodology afterwards. That's more what I kind of work around, my 5I methodology. But as I said, the book I think it's quite sweet for me, because it's like my little, it's like coming out the closet, or, you know, moving away from makeup and just going, you know, me sort of saying like, enough of this, you know, let's stop looking at everything outside of ourselves and let's look within. So the book starts off looking at how we've used changing our appearance to solicit power and status in some way for, like, you know, thousands of years. And it's got a beauty bullshit busting section in there. So again, it looks at ways the marketers play on our insecurities, how they kind of manipulate statistics. So really just raising people's awareness to what is actually kind of really happening there, and what is true and what is not true and what is bullshit, essentially. And then, you know, it sort of guides the reader to, once we've like debunked all those myths, is to actually go inwards, you know, and really like harness the power that they have within themselves. And so that's sort of the journey that people are taken on. So it's a really nice kind of entry level for anyone. Anyone can sort of pick up this book, I think, and get, you know, a lot from it and a bit of empowerment, because who doesn't love a personal development book, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What is the best advice that you've ever received as an entrepreneur?
Oh, gosh, now you got me stumped. The best advice, I'm just receiving good advice all the time. It's just putting it into practice, and not, again, it's like all that stuff we're receiving. Best piece of advice, I think, I wish I'd sort of acted on it sooner. I think getting help in business, and not trying to do everything yourself. I think there's an understanding that we want to have, and also, I don't know, I'd say probably a lot of entrepreneurs are quite stubborn people in a way. So they want to do everything themselves, but actually you end up, you know, you're not in your zone of genius because you're doing things that you're not great at. So I think just hiring help as quickly as possible. You know, you think you can't afford it, but actually it does. You know, it's going to create a lot of time for you. I've had Zoe, who's been with me for the last 8 years now, and I found it really hard. She now literally holds the business together and me together, you know, most of the time. So she's like a PA, but she's a bookings coordinator, she's the manager, she's really, really great. But I found it, I didn't trust her with my clients at first. And actually what I came to realize is that, you know, in certain things, she's so much better at stuff than I am, you know. So if you think that you're the only person that can do it, I guarantee that you are wrong. And there's, you know, it might be hard like finding the right people, but until you have a few bad hires, which I've had as well, you don't find out what you need, you don't get clear. So I think that the key is just trying and then trying again, and just basically leaning into failure, which I'm a big promoter of. But yeah, just getting help as early on as possible so that you don't get burnt out. And you know, two heads are better than one as well.
Yeah, and sometimes the people that are not necessarily in the business, because you know it intricately, because it's what you live and eat and breathe it every day. They see things that you wouldn't necessarily notice. It's the woods from the trees, isn't it? They'll see stuff that you wouldn't necessarily stumble on, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that shift in perspective, which is really important. You know, again, work and personal life, that we're talking with other people and talking with, you know, varied people, because we can get inside our own heads, and our heads can take us to some really unhelpful places. We, you know, we have our thinking like biases as well. So just sounding out things, and a problem shared is always a problem halved as well. So yeah, it's super helpful to have that different perspective that then changes your perspective, and then together you can build a better business.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Name a favorite podcast resource or book that you can recommend to the audience. What really inspires you and just keeps you going on those days when it's like really hard, really tough?
I've had some long drives recently. Well, actually, I do tend to now, because going back to London is a good sort of 2.5 hours. But there was one point where I literally podcasted myself out, and I was like, I cannot take any more information. And, you know, I was going out for these walks, and I was just filling my head, and I wanted to enjoy nature. So I stopped for a while, but I'm now back into them. And because of the long drives, I do like longer form. And I've got into, and I'm probably, when you're asking people this question, it's probably come up loads, is Diary of a CEO, like, because it, you know, it's just all the great guests are on there, which is fab. But the Dr. Tara one recently, Mo Gordat as well. He was accompanying me up to my Manchester drive recently. And then I switched over to his podcast because I was chatting with him on Instagram. Actually, he was like, oh, I've got this and check out this. And I was like, cool, that's Manchester sorted out.
Yeah.
So, you go on these little trails, don't you? But yeah, no, I really like the variety, I think, on Diary of a CEO, and just for long drives in particular. I don't feel like I'm wasting time in the car because I love a train journey, and train journeys are my most productive hour. It's a bit like that time blocking technique. You've got an hour, whatever it is you said you're going to get done, you're going to get it done because you've got to up the train. But when you're in the car, there's quite a lot of time there, and you can't obviously be typing away on your laptop. So yeah, I find it a good productive use of time in the car. And then when I go on my walks, I prefer to be present and enjoy nature.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So how can our audience and how can our listeners contact you, reach out to you to learn more about your workshops, your retreats, and all the exciting things that you've got coming up in 24?
So my home on the internet, where you'll find all my stuff as well, is camillacollins.com. If you put /retreat, that'll take you to the retreat. And then there's also, I think, free -resources at the end there. I've got some great sort of freebies there, self-sabotage masterclass, also time and productivity hacks, and an ebook as well, confidence construct ebook. And then in terms of just chatting with me, and I do love to chat, my DMs are always open, or my PMs, if we call them, on Facebook and LinkedIn. But Instagram, I'm at Camilla J. Collins. I'm here on LinkedIn at Camilla J. Collins, and then also Facebook as well. So, but then also emails. So more than happy, hello@camillacollins.com, whichever way you want to communicate. I'd love to hear from you.
So after we finish, I will share those links with the audience and make sure that that's circulated around so that we can get people more involved and learn more about what you're doing and the impact that you're making.
Thank you. Okay.
So the last thing from me, you've given lots of wisdom, lots of nuggets. What would be a final message to listeners and the audience for them to take away from today from you?
A final message. God, I've got a few. Do I end with a quote?
There's no rush. You can give more than one.
Okay. Well, I do love this quote, and it's a quote that I think my dad said to me when I was a kid. It must have been. It's always stuck with me, and I think particularly when it comes to business, and or the entrepreneurial sort of journey and the quote is: start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Because sometimes we think, particularly now, you want to start a podcast, I need the latest camera and the latest mic, and you don't. You just need to get started, and just use what you have and build from there. So it's always quite just a good reminder, I think, with anything new we're starting, or even when we're trying to build upon things, is just to start with what we have and not get ahead of ourselves, and then not put ourselves off with the thinking of the things that we need. Just get going with it. So I think that's that. And then I guess, we're coming to the end of the year now, and everyone's a bit knackered. The nights are drawing in, and we are being pulled to kind of slow down. So I think the one message I'd like to say, because I know there's a lot of let's finish the year strong and keep going, final push, and don't do that. Don't do that.
I love that.
Don't, because I did this to myself last year. As I said, I was sort of really burnt out, and it was that just Christmas, I didn't have time for Christmas. I said, you know what, it's fine, I'll miss a year, I don't have time for it right now, I've got to sort my business stuff out. And A, I run myself into the ground, and B, it was just it was sad to just miss all of that. So if you can, just start slowing down, because work's still going to be there in January. I can assure you there's always going to be things to do, and if you don't step off and start slowing down, then you're going to miss it all. You're going to miss all of life, and it's such a waste to do that, because everything will be there later on. There's no rush. So yeah, just don't get pulled in, and just grab yourself a spiced pumpkin latte or something, and put on some Christmas tunes, and just enjoy this time and lean into it.
Oh, Camilla, thank you so much for your time. Don't go away after we finish. But I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the spotlight, and we're really looking forward to seeing all the great work that you're doing. And I will post about your book actually, so that the audience can have a look at that and learn some more from you, some wisdom from you. So thank you for today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really wonderful. So thank you.
Take care.